Right, this is all the thing we saw before, all the same shit. We have nothing new here, so we're just gonna continue. So here is a meaningless choice. Well, meaningless according to guide at least. So we have the choice where Azirius asks Darren, like, you don't look like you see her anything more than a banshee. Kate, he's talking about. So I don't know why you're traveling with her. Darren looks a little flustered, but whatever. So he then talks to us. What about you, Barry? He asked me. What would I, from what I could gather, the four of you are traveling together. How would you define your relationship with a young woman named Kate? So we can go for acquaintance, friend, or in a relationship. We know that Kate is not ready for a relationship just yet. So I'm just gonna go, I see her as a friend. I see her as a friend. A friend. Do I take it that you have known her from before this tournament? Nope. We have only just met yesterday. Interesting. May I ask you then if you know about the Beacon of Hope? Yes, I take a short glance toward Case before continuing. She told me everything. Wait a minute. Darren interrupts her. Didn't Aiden say something about Beacon this morning? Yeah, she said that Kate was a survivor from there. I tell him. A survivor? Darren says, yeah, now I remember, and he didn't want to tell us what that meant. What is this Beacon of Hope anyway? To put it bluntly, as Arius says, the Beacon of Hope was a human experimentation facility disguised as an orphanage. The purpose of that institution was to create mages artificially. Kate's magical powers are a direct result of those experiments. She's what? Darren asked, seemingly in too much of a shock to be able to form a coherent sentence. This is why Darren apologizes later. Kate, you were a mage? Rose asks, surprised. Yes, Kate answers her. What did you think I was? Well, those mages we met in the forest this morning kept shouting that you were a banshee, so I kind of figured that's what you were. Everyone seemed to know what it meant, so I didn't want to appear dumb by asking. Kate laughs softly. I guess levels aren't really very important to you, are they, Rose? She says, smiling. So I have to admit, Hardrick says, I didn't expect to meet two survivors on the beacon in the same day. Or two. Then she's gonna be like, Diane, you know what Diane? Then tell me where she is. And he's like, there's a challenge. So here's the thing, you can take this challenge and get fucked up, right? You can get completely fucked up. Here's a achievement here where you have to put in specific points into stats. I think there's like strength, toughness, and like combat technique or something like that. You might have to look into that, what those stats are. But there are some specific stats. If you put into those, you can accept the challenge and actually defeat Hardrick. You won't actually defeat him. You'll just use you just have to like outmaneuver him once, and he's like, oh, I'm defeated. So I'm gonna refuse the challenge. There's no way I can defeat him. The last time I accepted the challenge just cause and got beat the shit out of. But whatever, so I'm gonna refuse the challenge. I'm out. I tell him, I'm sorry, but my powers right now are nowhere near the level they were back when I fought the dragon. That was only a temporary power-up, which I sadly can't reproduce anymore. Well, that's a damn shame, Hardrick says, disappointed. Dwarf, Kate says, how about another deal? I'll fight you instead of Barry. If I win, you'll lead me to my friend's camp, but instead of a fist fight, we'll have a magic duel. A magic duel, Hardrick says with a grin. Are you sure about that? I'm positive. Well, then we can have a deal. You defeat me in a magic duel, I will personally lead you to where you want to go. I'm just going to need a few seconds to get ready if you don't mind. By the way, Kate's reaction is not that impressive. I mean, she is still concerned, but it's nothing like super impressed. She doesn't really sound super impressed even when we defeat Hardrick. So it doesn't really matter if you do defeat him. But whatever, who cares? Of course, Kate says, feel free to cast any protection spells you want. I've already cast mine this morning. As Kate was talking, the dwarf started to rapidly gain in size. The ground began to shake violently as he grew more and more, while his skin started getting covered in black scales. Alright, he became a dragon, and then there's a whole thing where he like becomes a black dragon on the size of Tyrath. I forget, man, it's been so long that half of the shit I've forgotten. There, Hardrick says, bearing his fangs, right, he's fighting, and then they're gonna fight like some crazy shit fight, and there's like this ice sculpture fight. You've already seen everything, right? Yeah, you have definitely seen everything. This is, I don't remember if Kate wins, but I'm sure Kate does win about this whole situation, but I can't be 100% on that. Yeah, I do believe Kate does win at the end of the day. Let me recheck. Oh yeah, he says right here. Okay, I give up, you win. So Hardrick does lose in this fight, and Kate wins, and in turn, he is going to lead us to wherever Diane is. Now, Azirius, before he's teleporting away, he asks us whether we're going to tell him something about Aiden, anything useful about Aiden. And the guide says that we don't know what the effect of this action will be, but we should tell Azirius everything we know, because book 3 is, I believe, not completely out yet. So even the guide does not know what to say about that. So tell Azarius everything you know. Tell him everything I know. I'm just gonna tell him that. We don't have very much information about him, really, since we only just met this morning. I tell him. From what I could tell, he has a ridiculous amount of magical power, can use multiple types of elemental magic. He also seems to be able to ignore the traditional laws of magic. When we first met him, he just bypassed all Darren's magical protection and put him to sleep with a simple wave of his hand. Oh, and one more thing, he appears to be virtually undetectable when he turns invisible. I couldn't even sense a hint of his magical aura when he's hiding his presence. Azarius, interesting, Azarius says, as he smashes his staff into the ground, and I feel a wave of air hit me in the face. Well, unless he also found a way to completely eliminate his physical presence from this plane, you can rest assured that he at least isn't listening to our conversation right now. I just use a sonar spell to detect all objects and person in the area. You're the only mages in the clearing. I also have another answer for you. Do you know if he has any enemies here in this content? Yes, he does. Tyrath the dragon. I fought in the sky a few hours ago. Was looking especially for Aiden and wanted him dead. I believe that he made an enemy of the Lesethi as well. He told us to deliver a message to any ancients we find and tell them to remember the Stillwinter. Given what I've heard you say about the Stillwinter, either I can only assume that it's meant as a threat. I see. The old sage says as he strokes his beard. This could prove to be invaluable information if we were ever make an enemy of him ourselves. The Stillwater said earlier that he wasn't participating in the tournament, but it never hurts to be too careful. Thank you for sharing this with me. You're welcome, I tell him. Master Azarius, the mage's pupil, says as he approaches us holding a map in his hand. Azarius, the sage says, just call me Azarius. Yes, Master Azarius. The sage sighs. Tell me, Henry, what is it? I noticed that there is an unusually large concentration of magic around this area, Henry says, while pointing at the lower side of the map. Perhaps it could be what we are looking for. Perhaps, Azarius says. At any rate, it's not very far from here, so I suppose we could make it there before it gets too dark to see anything. Mark the location on the map. Understood. As Kate comes back with her backpack, Azarius turns to it. Yeah, it's just goodbyes and everything. I think last time I asked him, do all dwarves have ale running through their veins instead of blood? Or something like that. I don't remember, but I feel like that's what I picked, or I would have picked if I was doing it. So I'm just saying what I think I might have done, so, but whatever. So we're supposed to ask Hadrick why he rushed to defend Kate earlier in the air clearing. Why did you rush to defend Kate early in the air clearing? Well, I'd heard all about the beacon from Kate's friend, and she also taught me how to differentiate between artificial mages and banshees by the feel of their magical auras. I couldn't just stand by a little tragedy happen before my eyes because of an unfortunate misunderstanding. Could you tell me how you and Diane met? Kate asked Hadrick. Diane? The dwarf says confused. Oh, right. That's what your friend was called. We met by chance this afternoon, right? There's just like fight, and she gets defeat, and she like defied to the ancients, and she's like working with the Lesethi, which we do know that is true. As we advance through the forest, we start seeing some bright yellow lights circling around the trees. What are these, I wonder? I ask as I point towards one of the yellow lights. Overgrown fireflies? Oh, Rose says, oh no, this isn't good. We need to get out of this place as fast as possible. I believe this. I know what this is. This is where we enter the sacred land or something, and then we get captured after we get taken out by the Lesethi, Diane's sister friend, who like thunder shocks us and we like kind of go unconscious, in which case we do get arrested. Why do all women always, just like a general thing I'm asking, why does every game have a woman that would like knock you out and leave you in the most precarious situation to deal with it? Like in Max Payne, we got left in the fucking cellar, or the one crazy guy in Max Payne 1, and like right here in this situation we're gonna be left down like just around here. This is like so weird. Like every game after a while has that scene. Why, I ask her. What's wrong? Those aren't fireflies. They're the spirits of the forest. We must have entered the sacred woods by accident. Why do they not have like a barrier around there? We're not allowed to be here. So we're supposed to ask, what are the spirits of the forest? They're guardians, Rose tells me, sworn to protect both animals and the forest, keep them from harm. And who exactly decided that we are not allowed passage through these woods? The great golden fox. Please, there's no time to talk. We need to get out of here before it's too late. Kate, we hear a woman's voice coming from behind a tree. Kate, is that you? As the woman, yeah, it's Diane, and the Diane's like electrocutes us, and then we pass out and whatnot, and they just have a little like conversation. And we don't pass out because it takes a bit of time before we pass out because we're Lesethi, and she realizes that and whatever whatnot.